Alrighty, so in this one, we'll go ahead and add some movement for the NPC MetaHumans. So at the moment, they just play the idle animation and nothing more. So I've dragged a few of the Vivian MetaHumans onto the stage, and I've also just added a few pieces of architecture. So we'll need to define an area where these characters can walk around. If we go to Add, Volumes, Nav Mesh Bounds Volume, and then if you press the P key, it'll show the designated area. And then we can define the size of the nav mesh by going over to the brush settings and then setting these until they match the size of your map. So I'll set these values so that that stretches out over the entire level, and you can see it's automatically cut out around the obstacles. At this point, you'll have this recast nav mesh, so that gives us a few useful settings. So for example, if we come down, we've got this agent radius. So if we increase that to 50, we can see the edges have come in a bit closer. So this can be useful if we want to prevent the character from becoming stuck. They may have issues with this, but we'll see how it goes. Obviously you can play around with it until it works as expected. So we'll go ahead and open up the blueprint for this MetaHuman. And then down the bottom we can just create a new event, call it walk somewhere. And we want the actor to walk somewhere random within the navigable radius. So Unreal Engine has a function called get random location in navigable radius. Needs us to pass in the origin, which is our self. So we can just say get actor location, target self, return value into origin. And then we can set the radius to somewhere around 800. So that means the random location will have to be within this radius using the origin as a reference point. So now we can drag off this pin and say AI move to. The destination will of course be the random location that we've calculated, and this will apply to self, get reference to self. So at this point the character should find a random location within the navigation mesh, move to that location and then stop. We want that to just keep looping. What I might do is say, so let's get them to move to the random location, stay there for a random amount of time. So we need a random float within a defined range. We'll just say 5 to 10. So they'll remain, after they've moved to the location, they'll remain there for a minimum of 5 seconds and a maximum of 10 seconds. And then we can just plug that into the delay. And then we just want to go back and call the walk somewhere function, which just causes us to loop back, and we repeat the process over and over. So at the moment, this event is never called. If we go all the way up to the top of the event begin play, we can just add another node at the end of this sequence and say walk somewhere. Compile and save that. And if we go ahead and test. Okay, so it looks like they're running around. That's alright, that looks kind of cool. I think that'll just be the walk speed we've defined. So the animation is going to depend on how fast they're moving, but it is doing what we want it to do. The other thing we could do is increase the radius. So at the moment they're only moving a very sort of short distance, and we set that here. So I might try 1500. Yeah, cool. So that's doing what we want it to do. To make sure your character is just walking around, you can go to the character movement component and adjust the max walk speed. So I set mine to 250 centimeters, and they do walk, and it sort of gives them a somewhat of a bounce to them, bit of a pace. They're awfully keen to get to where they're going. Yeah, I reckon that'll do. So